So this story right here is a really devastating story, if I don't say so myself. This is in NBC News. 32 Mississippi school districts are still under federal desegregation orders. 32. The desegregation orders fit into a broader body of civil rights work that is examining jails, police departments, and hate crimes in the state, according to the Justice Department. There are 32 school districts in Mississippi still under federal desegregation orders, the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division Assistant Attorney General said Thursday. Enforcing the open desegregation orders fit into a broader body of civil rights work launched in Mississippi that is examining jails, police departments, and hate crimes in the state, according to the Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark of the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. Referring to the U.S. Supreme Court decision that outlawed segregation of all public schools across the country, she said the Justice Department is ensuring school districts provide black students in Mississippi with equal access to education programs. Quote, in our ongoing efforts to fulfill the promise of Brown versus Board of Education, we currently have 32 open cases with school districts here in Mississippi, and in each of those cases, we are working to ensure that these districts comply with desegregation orders from courts. That is an astonishing fact. 32 different ones. Still just as segregated as they were in like the 1940s. See, this is a good example of why oftentimes if you make the argument, hey, historical injustices help to lead to some of the disparities that exist today when it comes to, say, economic opportunities between black and white people or, criminal justice statistics. There is a root cause for all of it, and the root cause is not just inherent in being black. It's not DNA or genetics that leads to more criminality or lower pay or whatever. No. There are more complex structural factors, including like what we're looking at right here. You don't have access to the same sort of support. You don't have access to the same level of education or financed in a way that has parity with white school districts. You just have, basically, you're in a perpetual state of stagnation as a result of the system and how it functions. 32 school districts still not desegregated in Mississippi. Now remember, this is on top of the story. Remember, it was all about Brett Favre, and Brett Favre wanted to build, what was it, like a new volleyball arena or stadium or court or something for his daughter. I think it was in Mississippi. And basically, we have text messages and emails that prove that the governor and the leaders of the Mississippi state government were just letting Brett Favre loot the treasury and the money that was supposed to go to poor people in Mississippi. Remember that? Millions and millions and millions of dollars that could have went to giving a poor kid a meal or paying a light bill or something, right? The welfare system that was supposed to exist, the social safety net that was supposed to exist in Mississippi was getting looted by a multi-millionaire former NFL player so he can build his daughter a new arena. This is how deep the rot and the corruption goes in a place like Mississippi. It's almost something that sounds fictional. It's so extreme, it sounds fictional. It sounds made up. It sounds like, well, that can't be true. But it is. But it is. So what do you expect to happen with people when you give them no hope, no opportunity, no ladder out of poverty, no social safety net, or certainly a meager social safety net, and you have 32 school districts that are still segregated? The thing that's so frustrating is that we know the solutions to a lot of these problems, right? We know them. It's not that complicated. It's not that difficult. In fact, it's quite simple. Have a robust social safety net. Give people a chance to get by. Give people healthcare. Give people a good education. Actually believe in and try to apply the idea of a melting pot where people of all different races and backgrounds meet together at the same schools, get along, learn the same things. And then you're going to create a system where people have more of a chance, and as a result, more people will get out of poverty. But the way it works right now, it's like a trap. It's like a trap to keep people in poverty. And then in that scenario, what do you have? Oftentimes you have obedient workers who are just in debt and trying to get by. That's what you create with a system like this. And maybe that's what the system wants. Certainly what many in the system want, certainly what the oligarchs want, that's certainly what the economic royalists want. But it looks like at least they're trying to do something on this issue. But it's hard to imagine that in 2023, this is a real story. But at the same time, it's also not hard to imagine because, like I said, that Brett Favre story broke not that long ago. And the amount of fraud and waste and abuse and outright theft that went down was astonishing. And you bet your ass Brett Favre is not going to see a single day in prison, nor will the governor for their rampantly corrupt scheme. Because when you're powerful, you tend to get away with it. When you're poor, you tend to bear the brunt of everything. And now we know the situation is even worse than people previously realized. 32 Mississippi school districts, man, still segregated. It reminds me of that story as well where you had, it was in like Alabama, may have been Mississippi as well, but there was the return of some illnesses that you usually only see in developing countries. Waterborne illnesses because the water's not clean. I don't know if it was it tapeworm or something like that? There were a few of these diseases and viruses and illnesses that you don't see in developing countries. Well, they reappeared in some southern states in the U.S. I mean, you guys know my take on all this stuff. You know, I think the way out of it, you need to have a nationally unifying project to make everybody believe again. I think we should try to do a New Deal where we basically make our infrastructure number one in the world. I don't even like this idea of we got to upgrade our infrastructure. Forget upgrading. I want to have the number one infrastructure in the world by a mile and make everybody else jealous. And I don't care if it takes 20 years or 30 years to finish all the projects. That's what we need to do so we can be proud of our country again. And at the same time you do that, you need to improve the social safety net. I would do Social Security for everybody. I think that's a phenomenal idea. It worked great for older people, helped reduce the number of people in poverty from about 40% to about 10%. We need a national social security initiative, universal health care. If you actually address these problems and take them on, you can fix it. You can fix it. But we've just sort of resigned ourselves to the status quo, and that's what we're looking at here. But thankfully, like I said, they're going to do something about this. It explains a lot. A story like this explains a lot about the current state of the country. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.